Start. So, let yourself sit however's comfortable. Whether you need blankets, be sure to grab blankets if you need them to sit on. And it's cool this morning, but hopefully we'll get warmed up because I don't want to turn the heat on because I think it's going to start to get really warm soon. So, close your eyes. Let your awareness come to your breath. Feel that nice sense of the breath coming in through both sides of your nose. If you're comfortable to come into 3-part breaths, or perhaps your Ujjayi breathing, where you feel the breath coming in through the throat and out through the throat. And now just let your breath carry you forward and back so that as you exhale, you come forward. It doesn't matter how far, with that nice long back. And when you inhale, you just rise easily back up to sitting. So keep that length in the back of your neck and your throat so that you feel like your back of your head is in line with your spine as you move forward and back. That you do come forward. Let yourself stay there. You're welcome to put your hands on the floor to support you, or to even walk your hands further out if it feels really good to come farther forward. Take your time. If you like to fold over there at the end, go right ahead. Let your head bow if that's okay. And let yourself release. Watch your breath now, in and out. Feel that movement through the ribs as you breathe in and out. And then we'll come up a little bit so we can walk over towards our right thigh. Let yourself extend out over the right thigh. Draw your left sitting bone back a little bit. Just enjoy. And if you can, come up to the fingertips of your left hand and just let yourself press gently down into the fingertips and the tips of your thumbs a little bit there, just on that hand. And then bring the hand back flat so we can walk back through center. And we're going to go over to the other side. So again, extending yourself out over the left thigh this time. And then when you're ready to come up to the fingertips on that right hand, maybe you can kind of crawl it out even a little bit farther away from you. Get a little more in the side waist there. Press down gently into the fingertips. And then we'll come on back with that hand so we can walk back into center again. Start to walk your way on back up. So bringing yourself on up, hands on out beside you onto the floor. And let's inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now let your hands come behind you. You can stay up on fingertips or you can go flat back onto your hands, whatever feels good, just to open the chest a little bit here. Really feel the chest drawing forward, the shoulders back, but be mindful of your neck. Good. And we are going to switch the cross of our legs. So if you can just lift your feet up and switch the leg in front, do it. If you know you don't want to be cross-legged, don't bother. And then we'll come on forward again in this with our legs crossed this way with the forward and back motion of the breath. Letting your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. So that gentle rocking motion. Let it feel really easy. Good. So the next time that you come upright, let yourself stay there so that you're sitting up nice and tall. Fingertips now lightly out onto the floor. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist to our right. Bring yourself on around easily. Lengthen up through the crown of your head. Feel that space in the back of your throat. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center and off into the other direction. Now, once you sat here for another second or two, then we're going to start to move with our breath. So every time you inhale, you're in a twist. And when you exhale, you're going to come off into the other direction, but you're just going to move with the speed of your own breath, right? So you're just with your own exhales going to bring yourself around from side to side. Let it feel very easy. Not forcing anything, just moving with the breath simply. Waking up the spine. And on your next exhale, we're going to stop at center. So taking your time on that next exhale to come on back into center, sitting up tall, take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to draw our navel towards our spine, round into our back, and kind of rock back a little bit. So you feel like you're rocking your shoulders to be about over your hips. And then when you inhale, send your tailbone down, roll up through your spine. Let your head be the last thing that comes to be on top. So as you exhale, feel the navel drawing towards the spine, rounding into the back here. And as you inhale, send your tailbone and sit bones down, rolling on up. And then one more time, exhaling and coming into that seated cat pose. And then as you inhale, come on back up again. Letting your hands come out beside you. Let's just bend our elbows and bring our hands to meet in front of our chest. Spread your fingers out a little bit. For a second, actually come to the tips of your fingers and your thumbs. So you separate everything except the tips of the thumbs and fingers. Let yourself lengthen up through the top of the head. Just stay here for a breath. Feel that gentle connection, that lightly touching your fingers and thumbs together, the tips, and just allowing yourself to watch your breath. And then softly reconnect your hands, each of your fingers, your thumbs, your palms. We will unfold our arms right on down beside us here now. Shake out a little bit. We're going to come around towards our hands and knees. So if you don't want to be on your hands and knees, do not be. Grab a blanket if you need. If you have a reason to get out of your hands, you can come to your forearms to do cat-cows. You can be on blocks. You can be on the floor, right? So just be mindful. Take your time. Let yourself start to ease through your back. And if your hands are kind of taking your awareness away, then change how you are. You can be on fists too, which also takes the wrist crease out. So take your time to move through the spine here. Feel the tailbone starting, initiating that action, and then just follow from that tailbone, whichever direction it's moving, just follow on up through the spine into either your cat or your cow. Good. And then finish off the one you're on. Come on back to neutral spine. And let's come down onto our left forearm. So our forearm's parallel to the front edge of the mat, and reach our right arm out overhead towards the front of the mat. Let your forehead just rest gently on your forearm, and allow your chest to melt down a little bit here. Let it feel really good to just open up here through the upper back, feeling that release between the shoulder blades on your back. Good. And then bring your right hand back so you can come all the way back up. And we're going to go to the other side. So the right forearm is parallel to the front edge of the mat, and you're going to reach your left arm forward and let your head relax down. And then it's that idea of the chest melting down. So that feels so good. And I mean, you're pretty aware too of your left armpit, and kind of hug the elbow down and in a little bit of that left arm, and you feel those muscles that come wrapping around underneath your left arm. Just to feel really good. One more breath. And then let your left hand come back. Come on back up. Now, if you're able to, come on up to your knees, like you're standing on your knees. And if this isn't good for your knees, don't do it, or grab a blanket and try that. And if that doesn't work, don't do any of it. But for a second, be aware of your pelvis here, right? So when you're on your knees here, it's much more difficult actually to tuck your tailbone forward, right? So when you're on your knees, feel this lift up here through the front of the thighs. See if you can just lean back a tiny little bit, pressing into the top of the toes. And then come back up a little bit. These little hinges don't go very far, right? So let yourself come back, keeping your body nice and long, just till you feel your thighs engaged. And then come back up. And you probably don't want to do 100 of these or anything, because your thighs will really be telling you tomorrow. But it does really warm up the muscles around the knees and in your thighs. So one more little hinge back. And then come on up. Let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And now let your right hand come down, and you're going to come into a little side stretch here, reaching into that side of the body, letting yourself breathe into the left ribs. And then we'll come up. We're going to switch arms and bring that right arm up and come on over into stretching through the side. Good, and then come on back up again. Let your arms be overhead. It's like you're standing on your knees. You feel very lifted through the front of the thighs there. And you feel your tailbone dropping down, maybe back a little bit so you're not tucking. Good. We're going to come on back down. We're going to bring our hands down to find a lunge. So bringing our left foot forward and our right foot back, we're going to come into our first lunge. So take your time, you know that. Get adjusted there so you feel your feet the right distance apart the wide way. So you have a little bit of space that way, and then however long of a stance you like to take. And then just straighten your front leg out a little bit, shift your hips back a little bit, and then bend into that front knee again, coming back into the lunge. And then do that again. Shift your hips back a little bit, straighten the front leg out a little bit, and then bend the front knee and come back into your lunge. Now, in your lunge, focus on your back leg being straight here for a second. And then let the back knee slightly bend, just a little bit, which is pretty intense, sometimes more in the foot than anything, right? But it actually gets into a different part of your calf. And then straighten that leg out long again, press the feet away from each other. And we're going to switch legs, so bringing that right foot forward. So again, at first getting adjusted there in the width, the length of your stance, where you feel good. And then from here, as we straighten that front leg out, we're going to shift our hips back. Let yourself feel the thighs engaging upward, and then go ahead and bend the front knee again. Come back into that lunge. And do that again. So the front leg comes straighter, the hips shift back a little bit. And then we bend the front knee again and come back into that lunge. And we'll do it one more time. Letting ourselves enjoy that. And then come back into your lunge again. Long back leg there. And then see if you can bend that back knee a little bit. Let your back knee come down, not to the floor or anything, just a little bend there. Finding a little bit different stretch. And then come back to a longer leg again. And let's step forward from here and come on into standing forward bend. Now for a second, and you might want blocks under your hands for this one. Bring your left foot a little more to the midline of your body and cross your right ankle in front of your left. So your toes are facing forward and you're trying, you're endeavoring to get the right foot fully on the floor, which, you might be a little more rolled to the pinky toe side, but really it's the back leg that gets the most going on here. So you can feel, and if you're like, well, I want to go lower, you're more than welcome to bring your hands whatever height you want. Give yourself time to breathe into where you need it if you're starting to feel this sense of a huge stretch in the back or the outside of that left leg back there. Good. So One more breath. And then we'll uncross our legs, because all we're going to do is the other side. So the right foot comes more to the midline, the left ankle crosses in front. And then again, your toes are trying to face forward. You're endeavoring to keep your feet fully on the floor. That right foot might roll a little bit. And again, I forgot to say it on the other side. You can have your knees a little bent. You can have them straighter. Just, be aware. You don't want to jam back into locking your knee. That back knee especially is the one that would lock, so just be mindful. Let yourself open up through the back of the leg and coming into the outside of that leg as well. Good. And one more breath there. And as we uncross now, let's come on into Uttanasana. Bend your knees a little bit. And actually, just for fun, lift your heels up, right? So you're on your heels. You're on your balls of your feet. Your heels are up in the air. And then see if you can straighten your legs out. So your legs are straight, your heels are up. You've got your hands down for support, whatever you want to use. And then bend your knees again. So heels are going to stay up for a second. If you can bend a little deeper, do. And then put your heels on back down to the floor. And then go ahead and make your way into your Uttanasana however you want, whether your knees are bent or straight. Just make sure you're not locking your knees. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Use whatever support you want. Elbows above the knees if you want. If you feel like holding your elbows and allowing yourself to feel that full weight of your torso, do. Full deep breaths. Nice soft face. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, and we're going to press into our feet as we rise straight up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And as we exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose, look at your feet for a second, and if you need to adjust a little bit, do. If you need to get your feet closer or farther apart, whatever feels really good. Your base is your base, right? And then let your hands come to meet in front of your heart. Bring your gaze on forward and out. And let your head just tilt a little bit one way just to release through the side of your neck. And then just tilt easily the other way. And then just let your head roll forward. Let your chin come down towards your chest. You're kind of seeing your hands there now. And then as we rise the gaze on back up, let your elbows just release down towards the ground so there's no tension. You feel energy in your hands, but it's not like you're tensing up your hands or tensing up your arms or your shoulders. Once you get stacked up, you get your pelvis aligned, you get your hips over your ankles, your shoulders over your hips. It's very easy to be standing aligned, a lot easier than when you're not aligned. So that you can find that quiet strength just by being in your mountain pose. And as we unfold our arms right down beside us, we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees, come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale, put your hands on your shins and lift up into a long flat back. So use your hands to support you. Reach back through your tailbone. Find that flat back. And we'll step our right foot back and come into lunge here now. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So taking your time, spread your fingers wide, hug your elbows towards each other. Let your head turn a little bit from side to side. And then see if when you come back to just right into your full dog, see if on your inhales you can lift your heels up just a little bit. And when you exhale, you let them drift back down towards the ground. So in other words, most of us don't have heels down. In Hatha Yoga, you're usually in a dog pose where your heels are hovering off the ground anyway. So when you lift them just a little higher, when you inhale and you exhale, you let them come down. It's almost like you're reaching even further back through your sitting bones every time you lower them back down a little bit. You can feel your feet, your ankles, your toes. Be aware of your toes when you do these. And then finish off back in your full dog. We're going to come on out to plank. You can go down to fours if you need that. You know that. You can put your knees down if you want to. Staying in a plank where you feel nice and strong, really engaging here, engaging the belly and the low back. And then we're going to lower to the mat, so you're welcome to put your knees down first, elbows right by the rib. And we're going to come on up into a Sphinx Pose, bringing our elbows underneath our shoulders. Let your hands be lightly on the floor. Palms are down, but just let your fingers feel really good. In fact, for a second, just lift up your pointer fingers and put them back down. And then go to your middle fingers and put them down. And then your ring fingers, just softly lift and come down. Your pinkies, and then your thumbs. And then just kind of press down into your forearms, but let your hands be fairly relaxed there. Good. Opening up through the front of the body. One more breath. Belly gently engaged. And then we'll come all the way back down, slide our hands by our chest. We're going to come back into down dog. You can come through a half or a full push-up. Come back into your downward facing dog pose. Now when you get there again, see if you can inhale, rise the heels a little bit. When you exhale, let them come back down. So after you've done one more of those, now be in your dog and just bend your left knee. Let your right heel go right back as close as it can towards the ground now. And then switch and go to the other side. And do that again. Bend your left knee, reach into your right heel. And then switch again. Bend your right knee, reach into your left heel. And then come on back to full dog, hug your elbows towards each other, and we will bring our right foot forward to come into lunge here. So you know you can put a knee or knees down to get there into your lunge. You can put both knees down or just your left knee. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend. Right to your breath. Soft face. So if you're finding yourself a little tight in your jaw, just play however you need to. If you like to open your mouth a little bit or separate your teeth, or even sometimes breathing in and out through your mouth a couple of times helps release the jaw, for me at least. Good. Releasing all around your eyes, across your forehead. One more breath. And we are going to let our arms be like wings as we bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise on up. And inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's bring our arms into a T position, straight out from our shoulders. Bring your right arm on top of your left. Give yourself a hug here, and you might even use this right hand. Tilt your head so that your head tilts right ear towards your right shoulder. And use this right hand to just massage a little bit, just right there. Feel a little bit of tightness. Kind of press into close to your shoulder blade if you can. Release there. One more breath. And then rise on back up with your head and see if you can either slide towards a half eagle or a full eagle wrap. You can send the backs of the hands towards each other. You can slide the back of the left hand to the outside of the right elbow. Or you can come into your full wrap. You know that, letting your thumbs kind of come in towards the midline, letting yourself release your shoulders. If you can, float the elbows up a little bit, do. See if you can, though, let your head be real easy. So your chin is still about parallel to the floor. And then from here, bring your elbows down and let yourself sit back towards a chair pose. So feel those thighs as you just sit back a little bit. Shift your weight a little more to your heels if you want to. Really feel the knees coming out over the center of the feet. Beautiful. And then we'll press into our feet. We're going to rise straight on back up. And we're going to unfold our arms back out into that T position. And then we're going to bring our left arm on top of our right. And again, take your time. Tilt your head a little bit. Take this left hand and let yourself, if you find a real tight place back there, just encourage yourself to use some pressure, you know, to release into that spot. These are the spots where I like to lean into a ball. Oh. Just letting that ball help me find release, which really works. So one more breath, feels good with your hands too. And then when you're ready to rise back up with your head, just be mindful, let yourself feel pretty easy there, and start to release in towards either a half or a full eagle wrap with your arms. So again, you can do the half, you can do the full. If you're able to lift your elbows up a little bit, think about your shoulders melting down, and try not to lift your head up right now. Just for fun, think about your chin staying more parallel to the floor, right? Ease between the shoulder blades there on the back. One more breath. And then let the elbows come down, 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 and we're gonna sit back in towards that chair pose. And let yourself feel your thighs here now, but still stay as released as you can in your shoulders. Nice. We're going to press into our feet, we're going to rise on back up, and we're going to unwrap our arms right on out back beside us into T position. Turn the palms up and inhale the arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees, come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back. Again, if you like to put your hands on your shins, maybe you'd rather use the floor or your blocks. This time we'll step left foot back into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Spread those fingers wide, reach back equally through your sitting bones so you feel just as long on the right side as you are on your left side. We're going to come out to plank, nice and strong, and we're going to lower down. So again, if you want to put your knees down first, do, or you can come all the way to your knee, down through a push-up. Let's come up into a little cobra. Float your hands up for just a second too. Let yourself make a little looseness with your hands. Feel how your body is holding you there. And feel the toes just gently into the floor as well. And then we'll bring our hands on down. If you want to continue on up, you can. This is totally up to you, whether you go up any higher. You can stay low, coming into Cobra. You can let yourself, if you choose, keep your hands off the floor and do what we just did. Enjoy opening through the belly here. And then we'll shift to come all the way on back down to the ground. And let's make our way back towards pose of a child. Shift your hips up and back and take your time, only go as far as you can. If you're able to, let your hands come wider like you're reaching towards the sides of your mat with your hands. And then let your elbows soften down a little bit. And let yourself breathe into your low back. Appreciate those full deep breaths. Good. One more breath here. And then bring your hands back so that when you come up, you'll be on all fours. So you can come all the way back up to all fours, kind of adjust as you need. And let's come on back into downward facing dog pose. Take your time, walk your dog a little bit. I have no idea what's going on.
What is that, Charlotte?
I had Mexican.
We're going to bring our left foot forward and come into lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. I do know that he is doing interior painting over there, so it might have something to do with
Drilling.
I don't know what that is. It sounds like a
Jackhammer.
oh Lord.
Someone bust through the wall.
Laughing upside down is good. One more breath. And then bring your hands to your hips. Rise on up to standing, and we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands above our head just a little bit, and then clasp your hands, bring them to the back of your head. And now really see if your chin can rise up and as you press your head into your hands, but you are fully supported. And in a way, you're almost pulling up as well with your hands. Not like you're trying to pull your head off, but there's this sense of, oh, I just want my head to be higher, more length, and then I can just support it fully in this little bit of a back bend. And then start to bring your gaze forward and start to press the hands up. If you can keep them over your head, do. If your shoulders won't let you, totally understandable. One more inhale. And on the exhale, open the arms wide, come on forward into standing forward bend. We're gonna move with our breath. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. And exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into down dog. Really let it flow. Let your inhale just flow you out to plank. Your exhale lowers you down. Your inhale brings you into your cobra. And your exhale brings you back to dog. Inhale, and exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale, exhale into standing forward bend. Bend the knees, let the body flow all the way to the top. And with your exhale, come forward from your hips. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. And exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into down dog. Inhale your way out to plank. And exhale as you lower. And inhale into your cobra. And exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising again all the way to the top of the breath. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward again. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. Let's find down dog. Place your hands, jump or walk your way back. Walk your dog a little bit. See if you can turn the tops of the toes a few times. Press into the toenails of one foot at a time so you get some stretch in the tops of the feet. And then make your way back into your dog. Hug your elbows towards each other. And we're going to bring our left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior two. So take your time. You should come on into your warrior two with your legs. Let yourself just be easy, finding that alignment of that front knee. And then starting to rise your arms on up. And turn your palms up for a second. Let your elbows really melt down. So you feel very soft in the tops of the shoulders. Imagine you have something equal in your hands. I really like to picture spinning balls that just give that sense of a little bit of movement, but equality between your hands all the way up through your arms into your shoulders. I prefer that to thinking about rocks for some reason. So then turn your palms down and let yourself reach out through your fingertips. Feel that sense of pressing the feet a little bit away from each other. Really enjoy. From here, we're going to turn the left palm up. And inhale, reach up towards the sky. Nice full breath here into that side. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle. Left hand or forearm on the thigh. Swinging the right arm on up into line. See if you can really press down into that forearm. Let yourself turn the right pinky down towards the floor a little bit and feel the shoulder coming down away from your ear. Good. So one more breath there. Feel that length of the spine, the right sitting bone reaching for your heel. One more breath. And now we're going to turn to look down towards the ground. And we're going to find lunge. So we're going to release that right heel directly behind us. You may want to block. We're going to add a twist. Depends on you. You may want to put a block under your right hand. You may want to bring your right elbow to your left knee. And coming on into that twist, either low back with your left hand right there on top, or stretching your left arm up, or coming into twisted prayer if you'd rather. You find where you can be there. One more breath. And then we'll release and come on back down. And we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose from here. Once you're there, let your feet come a little closer together. Lift your left leg up in the air behind you. Three-legged dog where your hips are level and square. Let the right heel descend. And then bend your left knee and stack the left hip on top of the right. Now, once you get there, if it feels good to pull that left heel in towards your buttocks, fine. If you like that feeling in your quad there. And then come back to a long leg. Turn the toes back down to square your hips. And lower that foot back down to the floor. And we're going to bring the right leg up in the air. First, stay level with the hips and square. And then bend the knee and start to open the hips. Stack that right hip on top of the left. You may decide you want to pull your heel in towards your buttocks and let it feel good. You may not, right? And then come back to that long leg. Turn the toes back down to square your hips. And bring your foot back down. And let's come on out to out to our plank pose. Now, once you're in plank, if you can bend your elbows a little bit, do, and then come back into longer arms. Just a little bend again, and then come back into longer arms. And this time we're going to lower down. So if you want to put your knees down first, do. Elbows right by the rib. And let's come up into an up dog if you can, where your knees come off the floor, whether your toes are curled under or flat on the tops of the toes, whichever works for you. And then let's lower all the way back down. Let's come back into pose of a child, reaching back all the way as far as you can go towards your hips, towards your heels. And then just softly walk your hands over to the right. Don't go real far. Go far enough where you can just release your elbows and relax for a breath. Let your hands relax too. And then walk back through center and go over to the left. And again, just let yourself relax there. Let the elbows soften. Just breathe. Really let your low back go. Good. And then come on back into center again. And from here, we're going to come on up to all fours and make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Good. And then from here, we're going to bring our right foot forward and come into warrior two on the other side. So we'll be lining our heels up. And we'll be lining up that front knee bend right out over the center of the foot. And actually really look at the bend of your knee. Really make sure. Sometimes the knees want to just slightly come in where you don't realize really that's happening. Or sometimes this foot wants to turn in a little too much, which makes that knee do that too, right? So be mindful. And then start to rise your arms on up and out. Turn your palms up. Let yourself soften your elbows. And again, picture whatever you want that you have in your hands here. So that it feels really easy to feel very balanced, right? Balanced from your hands up into your arms and your shoulders. Shoulders feel soft. And then as you turn your palms down, reach equally out through both sets of fingertips. So as you reach back through the left and forward through the right, there you are, very equal and balanced again. Feet pressing away from each other. There you are in that strength and power of warrior two. And then we'll turn the right palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky. Nice full breath here in your reverse warrior, into your right ribs. And on your next exhale, coming on into that side angle. So it can be your hand or your forearm on your thigh. Swinging that left arm up into line so you can come into that full extended side angle pose. So just enjoy, feel the length from the fingertips all the way through to the outside edge of your left heel. Feel that length of your spine and let your head be in a comfortable place, right? Sometimes it feels fun to look up a little bit. Sometimes it feels better just to look forward or even to look down, right? Depends on your neck and how it's feeling today. Every day is a new one. We're going to have one more breath. And then we're going to turn to look at the floor. We're going to come into that lunge. So again, you may want to put your block underneath your hand there, bringing yourself into either twisted prayer, that left elbow across to your right knee, or bringing your right hand to your low back, or stretching the arm up if you'd rather. So coming into your twisted choice where you feel really, really long here. Lots of space in your spine. And lots of ease about how you have your neck there. And then we're going to release and come on back down. And we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose from here. Good. Walk through your dog a little bit if you need. And then you're on your own. You may want to do some vinyasas or kriyas, or you may want to put your knees down and rest. So you might want to come out to a plank, move into an up dog. You might want to come out and go through chaturanga and come into an up dog or that way. Or you may decide, I don't want to do any of that. I want to put my knees down. I want to rest. So just be mindful. Take your time. Good. And when we're ready, let's come on back to meet and down dog. And from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward, and we're coming into a lunge at first. So actually, bring your blocks to help you. And in fact, maybe Get up to the highest height of your blocks. Separate your feet a little wider, like you're on narrow railroad tracks, right? And then from here, we're gonna lift up into that warrior one variation where the back heel is off the floor. You're like in a high lunge. You can always bend the right knee if you need to. It's actually a very good stretch to keep that right knee bent too in your calf. And if you don't want to come up, don't come up. Keep your hands down on the blocks, don't even worry about it. If you're up and you like to bring your arms up, you can. Just enjoy being where you can. And then we're going to bring our hands on down, coming back to this lunge briefly, because we're going to come into pyramid right away. So now, lowering, straightening both legs out, lowering the right heel down, turning it in a little bit, so you've got that slight turnout of your right leg. You're still coming into really using your legs here, thighs engaging up towards the hips. Just don't take your time, let the legs adjust. If you're like, oh, this is too much, change the length of your stance if you need to. Change the height of your blocks if you need to, right? So you can play around with it. Sometimes, if it's too extreme and you're like, wow, this just feels too much. Shortening the stance a little tiny bit can really make a huge difference. So just enjoy, feel the spine lengthened out. Let yourself enjoy. If you feel like folding over this front leg sounds great, you can go ahead and bow over the front leg, let yourself bend your elbows or put your hands lower or whatever feels good. One more breath. And then come up so that you can, from here, walk around into a wide-legged forward bend. So you may want to bring your blocks with you. Coming on around. Once you get around, go ahead and bend one knee at a time. Adjust your stance, how wide your stances are. You may decide, I need to get less or more. As you bend your knees, you may want to change more in how far apart your feet are. Good. And then make your way back into center. Let both your knees bend for a second. If you're able to bring your hands between your feet, do. If that's too much on your back, keep your hands forward so the back stays long, right? But if you can bring your hands between your feet, do. And then just stay here for a breath or two. Let your head relax. Let yourself just enjoy feeling the hips, the back, the adjustments that are happening in the pose. And then if you need to change. If you need to change where you have your hands, if you need to straighten your legs out a bit, if you want to grab block or blocks to support you in any way, so that you can be very, very comfortable and easy in your upper body. Now, obviously, you are standing up. Your legs, your hips are engaged. But if you can just release through your face, your jaw, kind of let that upper body hang. And just be with your breath. If you can find those little spaces between your breaths, so that at the end of your inhale, you find that little space before you exhale. The same thing, at the end of your exhale, you find this little space before you inhale. So those little spaces are just an opportunity to let yourself let go a little bit more every time. One more nice full breath. And we're going to walk ourselves out enough so we can walk back over to our left foot. Come on back into lunge. And there we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in dog, walk to the tops of the feet a couple times again. And then we'll come out and we'll do little plank work, side plank work. Come on out to your plank. And we'll come on to the right side first. So you might want to put your right knee down too, and be on your right hand. And even have your left foot on the floor back there and stretch your left arm up. Now, if you want to, you can lift the foot off the floor, right? If you want to do a full side plank, you can just straighten both your legs out and be in your full side plank. Totally up to you. One more breath. And then we'll come on back down through plank. We're just going to walk plank a little bit before we do the other side. Just walk a little bit in your plank. And then again, you can put the left knee down. You can use the foot like a kickstand. You can keep the right foot down if you want as you bring that arm up, or you can do a full side plank if you choose. You can rise the right foot off the floor if you choose. And then we'll come on back down, come on back to your plank. And if you can, come into a back bend of choice. You might want to go to the floor and come up from the floor to do a back bend. You might want to go right through from your plank. And some of you might even want to ease through a few more kriyas or come fully through your vinyasas, through your chaturangas if you want. But just finish off the one you're on. Good. And we're going to come back to down dog. And we're going to step our right foot forward and we're coming into lunge. Good. Now remember, separate your feet a little bit, get yourself a little higher. Think about coming up into that standing lunge, right? Where you get yourself up. And sometimes that means bending that back knee a little bit more. Sometimes you're like, yeah, no, I don't want to come up. I need to keep my hands down on my blocks. That's fine. You can come up. You can bring your arms up overhead if you choose to. You don't need to be up at all. Take your time. Come back down if you need. Just don't push it. Nice. We're going to come on back down. Let yourself release. And from here, you might want your blocks because we're going to find that pyramid pose. So we're going to straighten into both the legs now. Adjust our stance so that back heel is turned in a little bit. And that our legs are both straight. Pyramid pose. Lengthened equally out through both sides of the body. Thighs are lifting upward towards the hips. So you are very, very engaged in your legs right now. And if it still feels like too much of a pulling sensation, shorten your stance a little bit. I mean, you don't want to go to the edge where your legs are screaming at you, right? So just be mindful. If you feel good to fold over that front leg, you can fold over that front leg. If you feel better to stay up, you can stay up more with your body parallel to the floor. Just give the legs a chance here. Good. Nice. Good alignment. One more breath. And then we're going to come up and up so that we can walk around into that wide-legged forward bend. So you can use your blocks if you want. And once you get there, you usually, as you start to kind of wiggle around a little bit, you may want to change how far apart your feet are. Bend both your knees at the same time if you'd like to. Just be mindful. Let it feel really easy. Don't do anything that makes your knees uncomfortable. Good. And then for a second, let your hands walk way out in front of you, like you're doing a down dog. They can be on blocks, which is what I like, because it helps me release even more into my upper back. But you can have hands on the floor, but let your hands be a little wider than you would in down dog. And then just allow yourself to release your chest down, maybe a little back even, so that you really open up there in the upper back. And then we'll walk our hands back enough to walk over towards our right foot. Then you can just shift your blocks to the right, or you can walk all the way over and hold on to the outside of your right ankle. See if you can press your left leg a little more away from the midline and just draw your torso towards that right leg. Try to keep your legs, though, fairly equal. So don't bend more into that right knee if you can help it. Keep the legs equally bent or equally straight. And then walk back through center. And we're going to go all the way to the left. So again, if you can make it all the way to hold on to the outside of the foot or the ankle, do. Try to keep your legs equal. Imagine you're pressing that right foot a little more away from the midline of your body. So you get a little deeper, and let yourself breathe. Good. And then we're gonna walk back into center again. And take your time. Set yourself up. You wanna use blocks for your forearms or for your head, do that. If you feel better to let yourself just hang, the traditional pose, you can if you want. Walk your hands back behind you. But just be with those full deep breaths. Just watching, being with your breaths all the way through, finding those little quiet places between your breaths. Good. And one more nice, full, deep breath. And then from here, we're gonna come out enough to walk back to that right foot. Come on back into our lunge. And back into your downward facing dog pose. You're on your own. Do what feels exactly right for you right now. This is our last vinyasa or kriya, so if you wanna do any more, now's the time. And just take your time. Move through, or just put your knees down if you'd rather, let yourself be comfortable. Good. And then, we'll just briefly come back into downward facing dog pose. And we're gonna think about coming forward. So whether you come into your standing forward bend, jumping to get there, or walking yourself up towards the front of your mat, you come how you want. Bend your knees a little bit. If you're able to bring your hands up onto your low back and clasp them, do that. If that's not good, don't do it. You can feel your knees as soft as you need. Let yourself watch your breath. Feel the weight of your head if you can. If this bothers your back, don't do it. Remember, you can instead rest your elbows above your knees so that don't have any kind of discomfort in your back. Keep your back long. One more breath. And then press into your feet. Keep your hands back as long as you're rising on up to standing. And then once you get up there, release your hands and inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And as you exhale, let the hands come just really gradually and softly down to be in front of your heart. Feel the lightness in your head. Equal between your right and your left side. Very balanced, even front to back. Even if you have to sway around to feel that, right? And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down. Shake out just a little bit, move around. Yay, we're gonna come to a wall. We're gonna bring the short edge of our mats into a wall, and we're gonna stay there. So we've got plenty of wall space today. There's 3 there, 2 there, 2 there, so we're good. So, let's take our blocks. Everything's sorted out there. Everybody got the right water, the right block. Let's take our blocks and let's come into stepping far enough away from the wall that we can put our right foot back into the wall for a little warrior 3. So that your toes, you can look right back at your toes. You can see they're pointed down towards the ground. And then once you kind of get that alignment, the foot's directly back. You don't want your heel higher so you can't see it when you just look straight back, right? You don't want to have to look like this to see your foot. Drop your head way down, right? You want to keep your head in line and then just look, and there's your foot. So if you can, bring yourself with your right hand on your block there, bring your left hand to your low back. You can check and see if you're level. So there, if you're level, feels pretty good. Bend that left knee a little bit, bend the right knee a little bit to give yourself a little break if you've been here for a while. And then start to straighten the legs, press that right foot into the wall. Imagine you're drawing it up towards the ceiling. Roll your left shoulder up and come into a little bit of a twist here, lengthening out through the top of your head. Really enjoy coming into that twist in your warrior three. And then bring your hand on back down, kind of fingertips on your blocks. And if you're at all possible, feel like you can bring your hands off the blocks, do it. You can bring your hands to your heart, or if you feel like you just want to reach your right arm forward again and not do the whole both hands thing, do. Just take your time. And if you feel like, well, I think if I come up higher, I can do that. I can bring my torso up a little bit. Very engaging for the hips and the legs. Finish off. Bring that right foot down. Cross your left ankle above your right knee in a figure four, and then bend your right knee to release that leg you were standing on. All right? So it ought to release your hip pretty good to cross your left ankle above your right knee and let yourself release there. So the more you bend that right knee, the more release, but you can have a straight leg and still also get a good sense of release in that hip. Good. And now we're going to just uncross and bring that foot behind us now. So bringing the left foot to the wall. Turn the toes down, look back at your foot. And remember, it's important too to get your hands at just the right place, right? So you feel pretty good about the alignment of your spine too. If you can put your right hand on your hip, on your low back, you can tell if you're level. And when you roll that shoulder up and put your palm down onto the back, you can really tell if you're level in your hips. Yes, good. So the twist is right in the middle of the back. You're lengthened out through the top of the head. You're pressing back into that foot on the wall. Oh, nice. When you've had enough, come on down. And again, you can play a little bit with your hands coming up, or you can go, no thank you. You can play with balance. You can let your foot come off the wall if you want to. Or you can let your foot stay at the wall and think about whether you can lift a hand or both hands up. Good. When you've had entirely enough of all of that, come on down and let yourself cross that ankle above the knee, right? So you're standing on your right, right? Yes. So you're crossing your right ankle and bend your knee. And then uncross. Separate your feet towards the outer edges of your mat. Bring your elbows above your knees for a second. Let yourself really, if you want to squat all the way down, go for it. But if it feels better just to send your hips back and support yourself, do. If you'd rather squat down, squat down. So finding a release that feels good for your hips and your low back. Good. And we are close to the floor. So all we're going to do from here is make our way down to our bellies. So if you're not close enough, you just have to get in it however you want. Come on down onto your belly. Let yourself come up onto your forearms and do a little Sphinx Pose here, just to open up through the front of the body. Spread your fingers a little bit. And then go ahead and bring your hands together, clasp your hands, send your pinky finger out, press into your forearm, lift up to a half forearm plank for a second. And then just imagine you're really pulling yourself towards the front of the mat. So you pull, you actually move, right? You have this movement. So as you pull, your elbows kind of go down more towards the foot. You come forward towards the head of the mat, and then there you are with a really deep engagement in your core. And then see about putting your toes down and lifting up into a full forearm plank. So you're pressing into your forearms, and now you're in a full one. Now if you kind of want to go crazy, you can start to walk your feet up into a dolphin pose. Not necessary to do this craziness, right? You can come into dolphin, you can stay there for a breath, and if you're feeling really like going back, you can walk back again into your plank. And you can do that a number of times if you want to build up actually, your heart rate goes up doing these. You can. It takes a lot to move back and forth. But also, what you don't want to do is put something into your shoulders that you don't want to be there, which pain, right? You don't want to hurt your shoulders. So you can stay in plank, you can rest, you can stay in dolphin once you get up there if you want to stay there for a bit, do. finish off. Let yourself come on down and rest in child's pose, if you can. If child's pose doesn't feel like resting to you, don't do it. Good, and then we're gonna come on up, sitting, and we're gonna bring ourselves around with our legs so that we can sit with our legs in front of us and get our straps. And if you want, sit up on a blanket, okay? Just gonna help, just have the strap be really helpful today. We'll just bring the strap onto the ball of the right foot. And then, just bring your left foot into the inside. Remember, we want the leg directly in front of our hip, not coming out to the side, it's really forward. And if this foot feels better low towards the calf instead of up by your thigh, do. And if it feels better, to support it with a block or a blanket underneath. You know, because sometimes, if you were to do, remember the forward and back motion we did, right? That rocking and exhaling, coming forward, and inhaling, coming back. If you do that motion here, and you start to feel any kind of tweakiness there in your knee or your hip, then that support can just make it go away, right? So, or changing how high your foot is on the inside of your leg can change it too. So once you're kind of like, oh, well, this is easy, this feels like I'm rocking myself to sleep. Once you come forward again, stay forward, and then just take your time. Maybe you want to walk down your strap towards your foot. Some of you may even want to go ahead and get your foot, that's fine. You can get your foot. Another thing, sometimes it's fun is to make an X, switch hands on that strap and make an X right there above the foot with your strap and press into the strap with the ball of the foot. That'll sometimes engage you a little deeper. So coming into that strict forward bend there, letting yourself be mindful. Releasing and breathing. Remember, once you come fairly far forward with that long back, if you feel like going ahead and bowing over your leg, that's fine. One more breath. Beautiful. And now we're going to come on up, and you can go ahead and take the strap off, leave it to the side for a second. Take a nice inhale once you're up. And when you exhale, twist towards your left, towards that bent leg. So you can bring your right hand either to the leg over here. You can keep the hand on the floor if you'd rather. Just let yourself come around into a twist. Feel your pelvic floor lifting up. Feel your sitting bones in the ground. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around and we're going to go all the way into the other direction. So again, as you come around, feel your sitting bones, feel that lifted pelvic floor, and also feel your right heel on the ground, drawing back towards you a little bit. Good. One more inhale. And let your exhale unwind you back to center. We're going to switch out our legs and put our left leg out there. Bring our strap across the ball of the foot. And then again, bring that right foot in to whatever level seems okay. Right? So that when you do start to feel like, okay, I want to come forward and back with that long back. No tweakiness happens, or maybe it does. So if it does, you can use blankets or blocks to give yourself support underneath that knee. So if that rocking motion, again, just helps you to find just a little more gentle way to release into the back of the leg, you can. You can keep rocking, you can get forward as much as you want, and decide again, you can make that X if you want to with your strap, pressing into the ball of the foot. Remember, really pressing into that strap will keep you honest. You want to press equally into the big toe mound and the little toe mound. And then again, when you ease your way forward, just take your time. If it feels good to let your head hang, do. And I know it's really hard not to tense up your hands and oftentimes your shoulders. So if you can, just try to not do too much of, tightening up in the shoulders. The hands, I know it's hard because you're holding the strap, but instead of it feeling too tense, just Try to let a go of that a little bit. One more nice full breath. We're going to slowly come on up from here. And take your time as you take a nice inhale, lengthen up. And on your exhale, twist to your right towards that bent leg. So again, you can bring your left hand wherever feels good. Let's enjoy feeling that length in the back of your neck and throat. So try not to either send your chin up or drop your chin down, right? There's that sense of a lot of length in the back of the neck and throat. Good. One more inhale. And on the exhale, let yourself swing on back around through center to the other side. Pelvic floor lifts up. And that sense again of length in the back of your neck and throat. One more breath. And then very easily make your way on back around. We're going to stretch our legs down long here. Bring your hands behind you. Now, you're more than welcome to just stay with your hips on the floor. Draw your chest forward with just your fingertips on the floor back here. Or you can, if you want, bring your hands, either fingertips towards the foot of your mat, towards your feet there, or the other way, and lift up into a reverse plank here if you choose to. So just take your time. You don't have to do this lift up at all. If you get up there and you're like, yeah, well, no, that does not feel good in my wrist, don't do it. And then when you're ready to come down, take care of your wrist. If you just want to turn your hands over, and even just lean forward a little bit. Don't push hard, but maybe that'll release your wrist a little bit after that. Or you can always, wiggle around with your hands. I like to encircle one wrist with my other hand and just move through my fingers. That helps me. But we're going to come on down onto our backs on the floor. So take your time. Bring your knees on in towards your chest and let your knees, let your right hand be on your right knee and your left hand on your left knee. And then separate the knees and let them circle in opposite directions. Right? So it doesn't matter which way they go, but they're going opposite. So they come together and then they come apart, they circle out and around and they meet back again. And then when you're ready, you can just stop and go the other way with the circles. Maybe one of the directions feels better than the other, but you're just kind of outlining your sacrum there on the ground. Good. And then come on back. Let the knees be as far away as you can with your hands on your knees and your arms straight. Take a nice inhale. And then when you exhale, draw your knees in towards you. Let your back come to the floor. And when you inhale, let the knees come away again. And there you come back to your natural curve. So exhale and bringing the knees on in. And inhale. Let the arms come long. And then one more time. Exhaling. And then inhaling. This time, let's put our feet on the floor. Bring our arms down alongside us. We're going to lift up into a little bridge pose of choice. It doesn't have to be a bridge pose. It may even be that you want a supported bridge pose. You can roll your shoulders under. You can have your elbows bent if you like that idea of, having the robot arms where you can press into the backs of your arms and feel a little bit more that way. Or you can have your arms long or clasp your hands underneath you if you choose. So, be mindful. Remember, bridge pose should not feel uncomfortable in your back. More than anywhere, you might feel your thighs. Sometimes it's fun to lift your heels up in bridge pose. That really brings attention to your thighs and to the length in the front of the body. But then feel the length in the back of your body too. So if you'd rather be supported, if you'd rather come down, by all means come down. You do not have to stay up in bridge pose. Or if any of you want to come down and go for a full upward facing bow pose, you are more than welcome to do that. And if you're like, yeah, I'm done with bridge pose for today, feel free to do what feels good to you, right? You may decide that you need another pose. You may decide you come down after you bring your knees into your chest. You may feel like a twist. Sounds like a really good idea. And that can be as simple as knees side to side or bringing one knee in and across. Could be any number of things, any kind of twist that's going to feel the best to you. So, really take your time, be mindful. If you're like, I'm so ready for Shavasana, but you don't feel comfortable, let me know so I can bring you any kind of support you need. If you need a bolster, if you need a blanket, if you need a blanket for under your head or for cover, bolster for under your knees. So just take your time. If you're still needing to find another pose to get comfortable before your Shavasana, go right ahead and do that. So that it'll feel easy. Once you do come into Shavasana, it feels easy. Finding a place for your arms and legs where you feel really relaxed all the way up into your shoulders and into your hips. And just let yourself enjoy watching your breath. Because if you were at the beach watching waves coming in and going out, it would be peaceful and calming. You wouldn't be trying to tell the water what to do. So try to feel that your breath, the way it comes in and goes out, is what your body needs to do, whether it's a longer breath or a shorter breath. Trust that your body knows how to get what it needs from all you just did. And just let yourself keep coming back to those breaths, finding those little quiet places, and allowing yourself to completely and fully relax.
be mindful. You're welcome to roll either your right or your left side. If you're comfortable to be on your side, you can stay there. You can use your arm as a pillow if you don't have a blanket there. Just give yourself a little bit longer to adjust. Just appreciate gravity holding you down there, being cradled by the ground. And when you do feel ready to rise up, let it feel like the next natural thing to do to again get up, have your head above your heart. So that energy starts to come back even more once you get upright. Be sure to sit however's comfortable for your hips. If you need to sit on a blanket or bolster, you need to stretch your legs out or cross them, it doesn't matter how you sit. Just let your eyes be gently closed. Come back to feeling your